This is the exact process I walk my 6 and 7-figure clients through to help them save 20 hours a week within the first couple of weeks of them working with me. So this is specifically for you if you are working one-to-one or one-to-many, you're booked out, you are very busy, and you can't even find the time or energy to do the things that will move your business forward to bigger growth because you're so stuck in the day-to-day. So I'm gonna walk you through the exact process that I just did today with a client on things that are gonna save her a huge amount of time, a huge amount of energy, a lot of frustration, and quite a few hours every single week for her and her assistant. So we're gonna start over here. This is the first phase. First step I get all of my clients to do is the 4 Ps. I'll walk you through that in a second. But I have all my clients do this, but especially those who are coming to me saying, I am too busy with one-on-one clients. I want to move to one-to-many, but I don't even see how because I don't have the time. The first thing we do is called the 4P quadrant. It's basically a way of them doing a rough audit on their time, like tracking their time and their tasks to see where is time going. Okay, I'll walk you through that in a second. But this is something that completely changed my life and how I viewed things. And it's a way of also reprogramming your brain almost to start viewing certain tasks as higher priority than others. Okay, then we go into deleting. So once we have the 4-week quadrant, we can kind of look at it and say, what are the tasks that don't actually need to happen? I'm going to give you a rundown of this and I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did with the clients so you'll see the example. We look at what can we delete? What are the tasks that just don't actually have to get done, but you've been doing them because you thought they should be happening? Then we look at simplifying. What are the tasks that are currently being done in a way that's way more complicated because you cannot scale complexity? So we want to delete first, take out the unnecessary, cut the fat, then simplify. Only then do we look at automating. So what are things that are currently being done that there's a tool for, a software for, there's a way to, there's a Zap we can set up for this. This part can be done automatically. Only then do we look at delegation. This is where actually a lot of people go wrong because they go straight into delegating. They go into, here's all the stuff I'm doing. Let me give all of that to my VA. This is the wrong thing to do because then a human is doing something that didn't have to get done, is getting done in a much more complicated way than it has to be, could just be automated so that your assistant or whoever's doing that could actually be using their time a lot more wisely, but they're not because they're doing this stuff that doesn't have to happen. So this order is really important and this step is really important. So let me go into what we did. This is just like a rough idea. These are not the client's actual tasks because of privacy reasons, but this is kind of the pattern I always see with clients coming to me when they're booked at one-to-one. So promotion tasks are anything that like really moves the needle forward in your business, aka revenue generating, makes money. All right. Production tends to be content creation, so it's secondary to making money. It's not going to be direct, but it's supportive. Provision are client-related tasks. You have gotten paid to go fulfill this task. You fulfilling this task is not going to make you any extra money. And pedestrian are the stuff that needs to happen, but it's not going to make money. It's not that important, and probably someone who is not you can probably do this. Now, when someone comes to me when they're like booked out, busy, one-to-one, want to move into one-to-many, but don't have the time, mostly their time is spent in provision and pedestrian. Very, very rarely in promotion and production because they're so busy, they're not even marketing their business. Now, this is where I start with clients. We do the 4P. In this example, one of the things we saw is a lot of time and energy was going to writing these feedback notes after a coaching session with a client. And if we look at this process, we can go straight into jumping into like, oh my gosh, but like, why don't we use AI? Why don't we build a custom GPT? And like, this process of creating and writing feedback coaching notes to clients could be so much better. But if we follow this process step by step, we first go, can we delete this task? And I asked the client, like, do you have to be writing feedback coaching notes? Like, is there an actual added value in this? And that's totally up to you because it's your business. You're helping these clients. You have to decide. And she just went, no, I kind of feel I should be doing them. So I'm doing them. And I'm paraphrasing a bit because I had something like that in my past where I would be writing 40-page strategy reports that no one ever read and took me 2 weeks. And then I just stopped doing them one day and Nothing happened. So that's a task that we were like, oh, we can delete that. We don't even have to simplify it. We don't even have to automate with AI. We don't delegate it. We just stop doing it because it doesn't actually add that much or any value, right? Um, that was the core thing. One of the core things, we deleted that task. The other thing that was a big one were we found out in pedestrian, there was a lot of back and forth between the VA and the client to figure out dates. So they would go between the three people, like the CEO, the VA, and the client with, hey, here's availability, what fits you best, and so on. Here, we can't delete that task because it has to happen at a big time. We could simplify it. So it actually said, firstly, the CEO has to decide when she wants her availability. So, for example, oh, she wants to pick up pick up the kids from school every Tuesday. Therefore, Tuesdays she has to finish at whatever at 3 o'clock. So, firstly, we simplified by adding some ground rules so that everyone was on the same page with here is how we want things to be done. And that comes from the CEO. And then we can look at automation. In this case, it was let's set up Calendly. Now that we know the rules of what the requirements are for your schedule, let's set up Calendly so that the VA no longer has to go and talk to the client and go back and forth and waste so much time and energy. It's just here's the link, go pick a time that works for you based on the calendar that we have set up. So there was a tool and automation that could fit over here for this part. Done. And that already saves a huge amount of time, like literally hours a week, and frustration on all sides, and probably a better client experience as well. And the other thing that we found as well in this process was that there definitely could have been automations for client onboarding as well. So not just the dates. That's what I want to show you over here inside my Evergreen Empire program. We've got, oops, no, I didn't want that. Empire Engines, client onboarding. And I have an example of like my own client onboarding. And this is something that surprises a lot of people sometimes who haven't done a ton of automations in their business because they're so stuck in the busy work. Between the client paying and them turning up for our first one-to-one battle plan session. So with all my clients, I always have like a one-to-one battle plan session as they start my programs. Nothing manual happens in that process. Everything is automated. So I do nothing between like doing the sales calls and getting a yes to client turning up for our first call. All of that is automated from the contract getting sent, getting signed, the welcome email, which is all the links. This is obviously a simplified flow of this, but all of this process is done with tags, with automations. It's based around them paying the invoice. So in this case, we found out, oh, actually, if we add in a better invoicing system for people to pay by credit cards, we can actually add in all these automations where currently a lot of things are getting lost, which again, there's time being wasted, there's frustrations that get built up. And when it's the first touch point with a client, like they've just made the buying decision to say yes to you, you really want that process as smooth as possible so the client doesn't go like, oh my gosh, your red flags because it's taken me like 4 days to get a response on whatever. So that's one of the first systems that I always tell people to set up, client onboarding automation. And then after that, we look at especially the sales automation as well in the sales playbook, which is the thing I'm going to do with a client later on. But that's a big one as well to make sure all of that is automated. So that is more or less the process I go through with every single client, especially the ones who are coming in with like, I'm booked at one-to-one, I'm super busy, I want to scale one-to-one, and I can't even see where the time is to do that, and I need to be more efficient. We go over the 4 Ps so we see where time's going right now, time and energy. We delete, we simplify, we automate, and then we delegate. And honestly, this process with me saves people 10, 20 hours a week, and we do it once. And it's like once this client, for example, like sets up Calendly, that is hours saved per client from now till eternity. So hope this was interesting. If you want my client onboarding playbook that I showed you, then just drop me a line below and I'll send it over to you. And if this sounds like the work that you need to do next, then you might want to book a game plan call. Click the link in or below this video. Find a time that suits you. Fill out your information, book book that in. You'll be speaking to either myself or my husband, Michael, who does a lot of our client conversations. And we'll see if we can help you. And if yes, we'll talk about it. And if not, we'll get some advice and you'll be on your merry way. All right, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.